All right, looks like I'm live. Welcome to our Success Mastermind for Fun Friday, August 12th, 2022. John Lavenia here with you as always. And since it's Fun Friday, I'm supposed to be wearing a Hawaiian shirt or a funny hat or something, but I didn't get around to it. It's always easy for me to just throw on one of my many black polos. But I do have a chicken joke for you since I've been on chicken jokes ever since we got chickens a couple of months ago. And let's see here. Why didn't the chicken go to KFC? It wasn't on her bucket list. Huh? Yeah? Okay. How about one more? Why does a chicken coop have two doors? Well, because if it had four, it would be a chicken sedan. Now you know. Anyway, good to be here with everyone. Hey, has anyone ever heard the phrase, if you do not act, you will be acted upon? Maybe you've heard it, maybe you've not. Well, now you have. And it's, I think, just a truth of life. I don't think I know. I'm stating the obvious here, right? It's a truth of life. I've heard it said that, life isn't just what happens to you. It's how you respond to what happens to you, right? That's the biggest determinant. And so today I want to talk a little bit about finding motivation in difficulty. In other words, using difficulty, trouble, failure type scenarios as motivation to, in some cases, redouble your efforts. Now, I'm sure we can think of plenty of examples, not only in real life, in modern times, right? We've seen plenty of examples of people who have been persecuted and then who have risen up above that, redoubled their efforts and gotten the job done. And the rewards, of course, were the spoils of victory and whatever fame, fortune, which may or may not have been their main motivation, but their motivation was to have an effect, to produce a result in the face of whatever difficulties, adversaries, antagonistic or suppressive forces, right? So they used difficulty as motivation. We can also see countless examples in, stories, right? So, in fact, in the copywriting world, one of the themes that you could go with when writing a story to your reader, okay, to your intended customer, one of the storylines you can go with is the hero's journey. It's a common structure for copywriting. I was a miserable failure. And then I had gone through all of these troubles, right? But then I discovered, the Excalibur, right? The magic elixir, something, right? The product. And now look at me, and this is, my life now, right? So there's some contrast in that. Would that story be interesting? Just, as a reader of stories, right? Or a viewer of copy and advertising and all the stuff that we could take in terms of media. Would any of that be interesting if there wasn't difficulty? Right? I mean, let's say you went and watched a movie where the hero, slayed the dragon. Well, how interesting would the movie be if there was no dragon? Where's the freaking dragon, man? I'm here to see like the overcoming of difficulty, and that is, as spectators, right? That is something that entertains and also inspires us. I don't know if you've seen the movie Top Gun Maverick, which it might still be in theaters. It broke all box office records, and it was that sort of a storyline where here's the difficulties facing this person and his comrades, right? And then they, the success, in the end. And that's just, it's a common storyline. Then insert characters and, settings and all that. But you could see again and again, this attracts what? This attracts attention because people want to, in common life, right? Not just in the movies, people want to feel like they can be more and do more and have more. All life, not just people, okay, but trees, plants, whatever, right? All life is about expansion, right? Trees grow, right? That's what things do, right? They grow and they survive and they become bigger, stronger, better, right? And then at the end of that cycle, right, decay and death, and then the new generation. So the idea that I'm presenting, hopefully presenting to you today here, is that we can find motivation in difficulty. There's another saying, which you've probably heard, and that is good is the enemy of great. Good is the enemy of great. Kind of like, the dragon story with no dragon, right? Life's good, whatever, there's no dragons, no story, right? So in a state of, I guess, what some people would call stasis, right? So just kind of, balance, middle of the road, whatever, good. Where's the motivation to be, do, and have more, right? We can start to coast, which is very dangerous because we know that nothing rests, like universal law, energy, constant transmutation, and it's moving into this form and that form, and things, grow and decay, but nothing rests. Even like the dead tree or the dead body, right? I mean, there's cells moving, there's stuff happening there. It's movement. So since everything's in a constant state of motion, there is no real coasting, right? It's kind of a dangerous, that comfort zone, pretty dangerous. So what can we do? I'm not telling you to go out and find difficult situations. You probably don't need to look too far. If you're engaged in any business, any thing that requires you to learn, to do more, to do different things, to create stuff that you hadn't created before. If you've already got a goal or goals that you haven't reached, right? Then in any of these scenarios, right? It could be business, could be in health and fitness, it could be in relationships and how you deal with people. In any of these scenarios, there's an ideal scene, and then there's where you are now. And since success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal, and the person who is successful is the one who's deliberately deciding and acting towards that ideal, right? That qualifies you as a success because you're making progress. Even if it's little progress, you're a success. But because you're engaged in doing something that is going to lift you higher than just good or stasis or okay or whatever, but because you're in motion now, you actually have demonstrated more motivation than the person who is not, right? Than the average American who watches 5 to 7 hours of media per day and whatever, right? So that's laudable. Right. I think it was yesterday we talked about being lavish in praise. So let me lavish some more praise on you and approbation. Right. So here's the thing, though, is that when we face difficulty, if we lose sight of the ideal, if we allow our attention to be fixated on obstacles, then we also lose motivation. I would argue that the heroes of the stories, and in real life, modern times, people who rise above difficulties, persecution, etc., these are people who recognize, they reinterpret, right? Remember, life is not what happens to you, it's how you react and respond to it, right? So they recognize, here is evidence. Here's evidence that I'm right over the target. I'm right over the target. I'm getting really close. Right? And so here come the arrows. Now, there was a book that was written in 1980 by my friend Scott Alexander. He wrote a book called Rhinoceros Success. Some of you have heard of this. And it was aimed at people who were in the home business network marketing space, right? To give them some reassurance that they are they have license to be bold and to charge forward in life, right? So he equated different personality types with different animals, right? So we could have the cow, right? So here's the cows, which are the masses, and they're just kind of chewing their cud, working their job, waiting for the slaughter, whatever cows do, sitting there, stepping in their own crap, right? And then outside of the cow pasture, right, you've got this jungle, which is much more exciting and dangerous. Okay, you're not just eating grass or whatever, right? There's the arrows, right, and there's the hunters and the traps and the thorns and everything else. Okay, but as a rhino charging through the jungle with thick skin and big horn and all this, right? And also who is dissatisfied, okay, admittedly dissatisfied with the conditions on the pasture. Good isn't good enough, right? Well, then you choose to leave the pasture and charge through the jungle, and you meet other rhinos, and it's all, it's a very much more interesting way to live. And because you have thick skin, you can deflect those arrows and you can continue on. As Nietzsche said, that which does not kill us makes us stronger. So it's a very different perspective than the person who succumbs to conditions and circumstances as being cause for their quality of life, their motivation, their level of action on a day-to-day basis. A completely different set of considerations around that. Now, personally, I've existed on the cow pasture and in the jungle. I have a rhino up there on my bookshelf to remind me which one I could choose to be. I mean, it's easy to be the cow, right? That's just, I'm not cause. I'm just going to sit here and chew cud. Easy to do that. And as the saying goes, if success was easy, well, everybody would do it. It'd be mediocrity, right? So knowing that I've chosen to go into the jungle and reside there more often than on the cow pasture. By the way, the jungle has little rest areas too. There's mud pits. You can jump in and get your rhino skin all nice and muddy, right? Drink your cappuccino, do whatever you're going to do. It's not like, constant war. All right. Sometimes it may occur that way. But again, that's when we take our eyes off the goal, the ideal, right? As Henry Ford said, obstacles are those frightful things we see when we take our eyes off our goal. So where we want to get to, I think, is a state of beingness. In other words, a habitual state, an identity that our comfort zone is now being uncomfortable. In fact, if we get comfortable, we get very uncomfortable because now we recognize that we've gotten comfortable. Does this make sense? In the time that we have, that you have, doing whatever you're doing right now, as you with your name and your body and all that, right? Which I don't know how much time that is. I don't know. Okay. But in that, whatever that time is, how much are you looking to accomplish? I've heard that God's gift to you is more talent and ability than you can ever develop or demonstrate in this lifetime. And then your gift back would be to develop as much of that as you can to serve mankind during this lifetime, right? To be bigger, to have more of an effect. And of course, to do that with goodwill, right? I'm not saying that you're going on a mission to destroy. I'm saying you're going on a mission to create, right? And in the process of creation, sure, some things have to get taken down, right? Create and destroy go hand in hand. We have the old tenement, right? That's just taking up space, rotting wood and whatever, right? And so here comes the wrecking ball to put up the beautiful new structure, right? So you see how sometimes creation is or destruction is progress. The tree that falls down in the forest and decays, right? That's destruction. Well, that's progress. Here come 10 more trees in its place. So then, knowing that with goodwill, good intent, and principles, right? If you're backing up your action with sound principles, things that are bigger or beyond just your particular mission or the temporal nature of the the conditions that are right now. If we can base our decisions on principles and actually make a decision, like not just, I'll try, we'll see how that goes, right? But actually make a decision. Well, then we've got resolve, right? And this is why a lot of people fall on their face with like the New Year's resolution thing, is because it's bullshit. There's no resolve there, Now suddenly I'm going to have resolve, even though I haven't all this time. No, No, Emerson said, of what use to make heroic vows of amendment if the same old lawbreaker is to keep them? So we're going to be working with the law, working with principles, working with things that are bigger than us. And then we can see, with a bit more of an accurate view, we could see that, oh, here are these adversities, these arrows, the whatever, right? Here are these things that are coming at us, not because we're placid or complacent, but because we're in action and we're getting really close to our goal. Now, this could be a bit to swallow here. Let's say you're surrounded with what appears to be uncongenial circumstances. It's easy to go into agreement and succumb to that. That's what cows do, and that's most people. But it's a much bigger perspective when you could say, this is evidence. There it is. There's the evidence that I'm having an effect, that I'm getting really close to my goal. This is the proving ground. And if no resistance, no reward. And do we not value that which requires a bit more dedication, resolve, effort? Of course we do. We value that stuff. Again, good is good. No story there. So I'm going to ask you to consider, because now we're coming up to the midpoint of August. We're already past the midpoint of the year. But we're coming up to, let's say, here comes the fourth quarter, right? The final quarter, where everybody gets a little bit more motivated than they were in the third quarter, at least here in the Northern Hemisphere. I don't know about down under, where you guys are coming out of winter and, maybe it's all, everybody's working their asses off during the winter. Here in the Northern Hemisphere, it's summer and people are at the beach and 10 million reasons and whatever, right? So come autumn, there's a return to, well, I guess to, that which they resolved to do at the beginning of the year, which they still haven't done. Now they got one quarter left. So here's what I'm going to ask you to do, is to embrace the fourth quarter now, still the third, okay? I don't care what the calendar says. Embrace it now and act as if you only had till the end of the year to accomplish something great. Maybe you have more time. Maybe you have less. I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball. Okay. And I say that for you, and I say that for me. Accomplish something great. Make your mark. And confront, and even, dare I say, embrace the difficulty of that. I'm learning a new software platform, and it's not my favorite thing to do. Learning software platforms and getting into technical manuals and problem solving, that kind of stuff. Not my favorite thing to do. Okay. I'd rather be doing other stuff. And because I can see, here's the fruit, right? Here's where me learning this stuff, and this all has to do with the business we're launching. Okay. But for me, getting my head into this stuff to the point where I'm proficient and have a way to communicate features, advantages, benefits, and all that, right? I'm thinking from the end here, right? This is all something that I'm taking in so that I can then put out. Just like anything you might be learning right now, you're endeavoring to master some aspect of this or that business. Well, you're taking in ideas for the purpose of putting out value, production, right? And all this. As long as we keep our mind, as long as I keep my mind on, here's the why, here's the end result of all this. And the faster I get through this difficulty, the faster I get to reap that reward. Well, now I'm on a mission. Send it all, right? I'm looking to dive into this stuff. I'm going to learn this stuff to the point where I'm like the damn expert, and I'm going to love it. I'm on a mission. The other side benefit of that is that we don't see the obstacles anymore. We don't see, sure, I'm swimming in, new stuff, right? Things, learning opportunities. Fine. Okay. But they don't occur as problems. They occur as opportunities because I keep my eye on the goal. If we could just forward the videotape a little bit and think with the end in mind, right? Just forward the videotape, see the triumphant, the slaying of the dragon, the whatever, right? And we see that, right? And we experience that physiologically and emotionally as a guaranteed future outcome. Well, whatever the difficulties are, hey, we're writing the story. So you could actually think of it like that. You can think of it like, here's me leaving my legacy, and this is a chapter in the book of the difficulties that I have overcome. Now let me go overcome them. This whole thing is imbued with intention. And that's why good is the enemy of great. Because where's the intention? To just stay where you're at? Well, and again, that's what most people do. All I can tell you is that's not what I do. And when I find myself doing that, well, I get very uncomfortable. John's too comfortable. So consider that for yourself. How do you want to show up, or how do you want to have people talk about you when you no longer can show up? Interesting consideration. I don't mean to be dark. I just mean that you've got cause to be motivated. And if not, then go find a reason to be motivated. And it may not be a bowl of cherries. A lot of times we have our initial impetus to stand up, to take action, to do something is because conditions have gotten so bad that the pain of not changing is greater than the pain of changing. So that, we could say, would be motivation to get out of conditions as they are. But it's way more inspirational to look at where we're going than it is to just look at what we don't want. So take whatever initial motivation you require, and then craft that vision, because where there is no vision, the people perish. My goodness, I've given you like 15 quotes here in this little talk today. That's what's coming out of my mouth. So I guess that's what we all needed to hear. At least that's what I needed to hear. In fact, I did a little video on TikTok, very impromptu yesterday, a little video on TikTok yesterday about how to get motivated, part 1. And just what came out of me was what came out of me. It was like 40 seconds or something, which is a really long video for TikTok. I'm still learning the platform. Anyway, who's got some thoughts on this? If you do have some thoughts, I'd love to hear them. We got Catherine and Daisy and Janet and Lynn and Virginia's here. So we're talking about finding motivation, using difficulty as motivation. Any thoughts? Well, I get my favorite coffee cup, which is right here.
Well, John, I liked what you said about the difficulties being chapters in the book toward the end, toward your end. I that's a really nice way to think of it, because then it's like it's just another step. It's just another thing, and there is an end. There is an end to the story, an end to the book. So that's a nice way to frame it. A nice, kind of a charming way, really. This just gives me food for this chapter, and then I can move on to the next chapter, which is a different difficulty I overcome until I've overcome them. And the dragon isn't just slayed. He's served for dinner. He's at the banquet in a older form.
Okay. That's great. Well done, Janet. The dragon slayer. Not just the dragon slayer, the dragon chef.
Well, he's so big, he fills the whole banquet table. Everyone gets to eat and celebrate.
That's great.
So
I mentioned a day or two ago that my wife and I have we entertain ourselves with this show called Swamp People, where they're out there hunting alligators in Louisiana and eating alligator tail and stew and frog legs and all this kind of stuff. And I'm thinking, here is I guess for our purposes we could say a dragon, right? And I don't want anything to do with alligators, and so, but these guys, they embrace that dragon, right? They're they kill it and then they're hugging it to pull it onto the boat. And next thing you know, they're having dinner. So thank you for that great visual.
Well, if you've ever been, yeah, I think so. Yeah. If you've ever been in New Orleans, you can go down and visit alligator farms
Hmm.
and go on a boat and learn so much stuff. It's so interesting. And in the markets, you can get alligator on a stick.
Right. But we got that here in Florida too. I'm
Oh, do you?
personally not
Okay.
interested, but
Well,
okay.
it's just an experience, it's a
Yeah.
it's a something different I did today that I wouldn't normally do.
Right, right. Good
Yeah,
stuff. Thanks,
unless
Janet.
you love alligators.
I'll
So
stick with
I'm not going
Tony's
toward,
Pizza.
I'm not going toward difficulty. I'm not inviting difficulty. I had a little thing when you said, well, embrace it. When it comes, face it and get through it. But I'm not going, okay, difficulty, come on, because it'll make the story so much better.
Right. Well, yeah, you don't have to go out looking for it. Right.
No.
Yeah, good stuff. Thank you again, Janet.
Thank
All
you,
right.
John.
I see Lynn's hand is up. Hi, hey, Lynn, what's your story?
Well, I rather like the idea of seeing myself as a rhinoceros. That rather appealed. But actually, it was obviously for me, it was the hero's quest struck a chord with me too. But it's, I'm sort of big on Greek myths and stuff, so I immediately kind of framed it that way.
Sure.
But it was kind of interesting because it that diagram we looked at yesterday, it's like, well, that hero's quest and the difficulties being a chapter in a book could all superimpose with that graph to some degree. And you go, yeah, I just cleaned out the Aegean stables today. That's my 1%, or, whatever. I was like, oh, that all fits beautifully.
Right. Good stuff. Well, yeah, it's that motivation to act. What is motivation? It's willingness to act. So thank you for being in action, Lynn, and thank you for being here. So
Good to be here.
good times. All right. I thought I saw Catherine or someone else wanted to speak. If you do, please come on out and we will hear from you. Oh, by the way, I will be here at 6 p.m. for Be Heard. If anyone's got some ideas, our members, if you want to discuss, I'll be here, whether that's with your business or anything else in life. I don't claim to have the answers, but I'm happy to listen. So sometimes we come up with answers. Usually we do. All right. Anybody else? Any thoughts on using difficulty as motivation? All right. Then we're going to go ahead and wrap up. How about one more? Wait, do I still have my chicken jokes up? Nope, I took them down. Tune in next time for more chicken jokes. We'll see you guys again real soon. And again, I'll be back here at 6 p.m. Eastern. I got a packed day today. We are doing a lot. So thank you for participating. If you're seeing this on YouTube, check out jlsuccessmastermind.com.